Welcome to your CCPS Science Review Lab. Let's take a look at today's warm-up. Can you describe what's happening to the metal in the man's hand and why it's occurring? That's a pretty unique picture because it looks like that the metal is starting out as a solid and changing phase to a liquid. Well, how does that happen? If you answered that the heat from the man's hand is transferring to the metal and therefore causing it to go into a liquid phase, you would be right. Let's take a look at how temperature and energy change affect matter change, or phase of matter change. If we're looking at our graph here, on our x-axis, that's the ones going across, we have heat energy, right? And as we're moving from left to right, the amount of heat energy is increasing. So going from left to right, heat energy is increasing. We know that the greater the heat energy, the greater the temperature. So as we're looking here on the y-axis going up and down, we see temperature in degrees Celsius, and we see as we're moving upwards, temperature is increasing. So we know as heat energy increases, so does temperature. So let's take a second to decode what this graph is talking about, right? Down here at this point, it looks like at whatever temperature we are over here, the material we're working with is at a solid state. Okay, it's at its solid state. We're moving upwards, so temperature is increasing. Moving this way, so we know at the same time heat energy is increasing. And as we're going up, right here is where we're going to have a phase change where we go from solid to a liquid. Right? So we're going from a solid to a liquid, and it makes sense because when you think about it, when we learned about phases of matter, we learned that the particles in a solid are squeezed super tightly together, so tightly together that they could barely vibrate, right? They're squeezed really tightly together. Well, when we add energy to that, now they're not just vibrating next to each other. Now they're starting to have more motion because they've got more energy. So the substance is starting to melt. So it's going to its liquid phase and it's got more energy. If we keep adding more energy and more energy and more energy, eventually it will vaporize and go to its gas stage. Now we've got it moving all over the place. If we can imagine those particles in the gas phase, we know they're bing, moving all over the place, right? So we also refer to vaporization sometimes as evaporation, okay? So again, as that energy increases and that temperature increases, we go from a solid to a liquid to a gas. So how did temperature and energy affect the change in matter or change in the phase of matter? The more energy and the higher the temperature, the more we're going to have in terms of movement of the particles, and we're going to go from one phase to another. Now, that said, the opposite is true. If I'm starting out as a gas and I'm taking away energy, what's happening to the temperature? It's decreasing. So the substance's temperature is cooling down. That's when we have condensation, right? And it goes from a gas to a liquid, and it continues to cool down. You see that temperature decrease right there. Okay, that energy is also decreasing. And that's when we get freezing, and that's when we're back to having a solid. So give yourself a moment to get this information and this graph into your notebook. I want you to have the practice of seeing how solid, liquids, and gases, how their energy and temperature look when graphed. And I want you to practice writing the words and making the little picture. So the little picture of the solid, little picture of a liquid, little picture of a gas, and writing those words so that they stick in your mind as they apply to energy and temperature change and phase change. Once you've got that done, you're going to go ahead and show what you know. It's going to give you a chance to recreate that on a separate piece of paper for your teacher. So we're not only going to get it once, we're going to get it twice so that we remember exactly what we're looking for here. And you may have to do a little bit of research or dig back in your memory when we're taking a solid over here and taking it directly to its gaseous state. See if you can remember what that is. Good luck.